Waking up felt like drowning in silence. One moment there was nothing, no sound, no light, no memory, and the next there was air. Too much of it. Harsh, cold, foreign air rushing into lungs that felt like paper. My eyes didn't want to open, but the world forced itself in anyway. Bright, sterile lights, the slow beep of a monitor, and the overwhelming scent of antiseptic and flowers. My body didn't feel like mine. I couldn't move. Not really. My muscles trembled from the effort of simply existing. And then came the voices. Familiar, then fractured.
A sob.
My mother's. Older now. The years stretched behind it. I wanted to speak, but my tongue felt like sandpaper. The nurse said I'd been unconscious for 10 years. A coma. A car crash. I should have died. Instead, I'd been suspended in time while the world moved on. My younger brother was taller than me now. My friends, those who hadn't drifted, looked like adults from a life I barely remembered. But nothing was as strange as the first night. I couldn't sleep. My body was sore, twitching, too alive after so long dormant. The hospital room was quiet, save for the rhythmic hum of machines. I thought I was hallucinating when I saw her. She didn't knock.
She didn't speak.
She just stepped into the room like she belonged there. Long, dark hair tumbled over broad shoulders, framing a face that was all sharp angles and shadowed beauty. Her eyes, though, her eyes weren't human.
Golden.
Glowing faintly in the dark. She stood at the edge of my bed, not touching, just watching. "You're awake," she said finally, her voice deep and low, almost reverent. I wasn't sure I'd feel it, but I did. The moment your eyes opened.
Who?
I tried to ask, but the sound came out like a croak. She took one step closer. "My name is Kaya. I've been waiting for you." My heart stuttered. "Do I know you?" Her lips curved slightly, something between a smile and a confession. "Not yet. But I know you." I should have called for help. Pressed the emergency button. But I didn't. Her presence didn't feel dangerous. It felt inevitable. She lowered her gaze, almost reverent. "I'm part of the Ashfall pack. I'm a wolf shifter. And you're my mate." I stared at her, the words not even registering properly. "You're what?" "My mate. The one destined to be mine. The bond formed the moment your soul called out again. I felt it the second you came back." "That's not." I shook my head weakly. "That's not possible. I don't even know you." "You will." She moved back then, giving me space, her voice quieter. "You don't have to believe me yet. Just know that I'll protect you. Always." I couldn't respond. Couldn't breathe. My hands trembled under the blanket. "Why now?" I whispered. "Why me?" She tilted her head, and for a brief second, her pupils narrowed into something distinctly not human. Because fate doesn't make mistakes. And I never stopped waiting. The next morning I told myself it had been a dream. A side effect of the coma, maybe. A hallucination, a stress response, a leftover spark in a brain still struggling to piece itself back together. The hospital staff didn't mention any strange visitors. No nurses commented on a dark-haired woman slipping past security, and my mother, when she arrived just after dawn, looked tired but relieved. Nothing in her expression told me she'd seen or sensed anything unusual. "You look better," she said, brushing hair from my forehead like I was still 10. Stronger. I didn't feel stronger. I felt like I was unraveling. That day passed in a blur of blood work, muscle tremors, and forced meals. The physiotherapist came by, cheerful and persistent, coaxing movement out of limbs that didn't want to obey. My legs were the worst, thin, shaking, unsteady. My arms had fared slightly better, though even lifting a water bottle made me sweat. I focused on normal things. The texture of hospital food. The quiet encouragement of my brother, who came by with an old photo album. The whiteboard calendar the nurses used to track my progress. But under it all, something buzzed in my bones. Like I was holding my breath without realizing it. Waiting. That night, I couldn't sleep. Again. My body was too sore, my thoughts too loud. I turned my head toward the window and immediately froze. She was there. Not inside the room this time, but outside, on the rooftop across from my third-story window. She stood barefoot on the ledge, her arms folded, her silhouette sharp against the glow of the city lights. I blinked, sure I was imagining things. But when I blinked again, she was gone. The next day, strange things started happening. Machines glitched. The heart monitor spiked whenever I was alone. The lights flickered, just slightly, when I tried to sleep. And the scent in the room changed, something faintly wild, like pine needles after rain. I asked the nurses. They shrugged. Old building, one said. Weird wiring.
But I saw it.
The way the staff moved faster when they enter my room. The way one of the orderlies looked over his shoulder like he felt watched. They knew something was off. They just couldn't name it. I thought about telling my mother. But what would I say? Hey, Mom, a beautiful wolf woman is stalking me and claiming fate has tied our souls together forever. Can you pass the pudding? On the fourth night, I heard the click.
The door.
Not loud. Not forced. Just intentional. I didn't turn right away. My body tensed instinctively, waiting. Her voice came like a thread of smoke. You're stronger already. You can't keep doing this, I said, not looking at her. You can't keep showing up like this. It's not fair. I don't want fair, she said, stepping closer. I want you safe. I finally turned my head. Her eyes met mine. Still golden. Still impossibly alive. Why me? I whispered. Why out of everyone? Why am I your mate?
Because I felt it, she said.
Because the second your soul came back to your body, I felt it slam into mine like a heartbeat I'd been missing. I didn't choose this, but I won't run from it either. But I did die, I whispered. Didn't I? Briefly, she said, voice low. But that didn't break the bond. It only delayed it. I don't believe in soulmates, I said. I don't believe in fate or wolves or magic or whatever this is. That's fine. I'll believe enough for both of us. You're so sure. Yes. You don't even know me. I've watched you sleep for 10 years. I recoiled slightly. She noticed. Not like that, she said quickly. I wasn't always here physically. But I felt you. Dreamed of you. My kind, we don't dream often. But I did. Every full moon, I saw your face. I knew you were still out there. That's insane, I whispered. You don't even know if I'll ever be who I used to be. What if I don't remember how to be a person? Then I'll help you remember, she said. I don't want you to be who you were. I want you to be who you are now. I stared at her. Everything about her was wrong. Too still. Too intense. Too much. And yet, I couldn't look away. She moved to the chair in the corner of the room. Sat like she was settling in for a long watch. You don't have to talk, she said. I won't touch you. I won't push. But I'll stay. Unless you tell me to leave. I didn't. I wanted to. But the silence was heavier without her. I closed my eyes. Her presence was both calming and unnerving, like being watched by a storm that had decided not to strike. Yet, I dreamed that night. For the first time since waking. I dreamed of running through woods with silver light above. I dreamed of howling, not in fear, but in freedom. And when I woke, Kaya was gone, but a wolf's footprint was pressed into the condensation on the inside of my window. The third week after I woke up was when the pain started. Not just the dull ache of unused muscles stretching awake, not just the burning in my calves when I tried to walk 10 steps without trembling. This was deeper, hotter. Like my body was rejecting itself, like the skin didn't know how to hold me anymore. It started after a particularly long session with Nina, my physical therapist. She was kind but ruthless, always pushing just enough, never letting me settle into excuses. That day she pushed harder. She wanted me to try the stairs. Not a full flight, just 3 steps. A small goal. Reasonable. I failed. My legs buckled on the second step. My hands slammed against the rail, and I felt everything inside me collapse. The ache that had been humming for days surged forward like fire through dry grass. My chest tightened. My spine burned. I heard someone shouting, but it sounded like they were underwater. I remember falling or maybe being caught, and then suddenly she was there.
Kaya.
She didn't come through the door. I didn't see her enter. She was just there, crouched beside me, one arm around my back, the other pressing a cold cloth to my forehead. Freya, she whispered. You need to breathe. Can't, I choked out. Everything hurts. I know. Her voice was soft but firm. I felt it start last night. Felt what? The dissonance. Your body's pulling at itself. Trying to anchor again. The soul and the form, they're still realigning. I'm not supernatural, I hissed. This isn't magic. This is nerve damage and atrophy and trauma.
It's all of it, she said.
You don't have to believe it, but your body is reacting to the bond. I'm trying to keep it from shattering you. You can't be real, I said, clinging to her shirt. You can't. I'm very real, Freya, and I'm not letting you fall apart. She lifted me as if I weighed nothing, and for a second, I felt something deep and ancient pass between us. Not hunger, not lust, not even love. Recognition. Something older than names. She carried me back to my room. The nurses didn't even try to stop her. One of them even held the door. Kaya laid me on the bed gently, tucked the blanket around me like I was something precious, then sat in the chair with her hands clenched tightly in her lap. I watched her through half-lidded eyes. She wasn't breathing hard. She hadn't broken a sweat, but something about her posture screamed restraint. What's happening to me? I asked again. Truthfully, she said, you're adjusting to being alive again. But also, you're waking up into a bond that's been waiting 10 years to settle. That bond is tied to me. I'm trying not to let it drag you under. So, I'm broken because of you? You're healing through me. I laughed bitterly. That's not what it feels like. She looked at me, her golden eyes shadowed. You think I haven't questioned this? That I didn't beg the moon, the stars, whatever ancient thing created this link, to sever it so you could just live your life in peace? But it didn't. And I'm here. Because some part of me knows I was always meant to be. You don't even know who I am now, I whispered. You've built a fantasy around a girl who hasn't existed for a decade. Then let me meet the woman who's here now. And if I never love you? I asked. Her throat worked around the answer. Then I'll still protect you. Because that's what mates do. We didn't speak after that. Not for hours. She stayed in the chair, unmoving. I drifted in and out of sleep. When I woke again, the pain had faded, dulled to something manageable. She was still there. The next few days passed in a haze. I expected Kaya to leave, but she didn't. She returned every night, always after visiting hours, always silent. She brought things, herbs that soothed the tremors, a thermos of tea that calmed my racing pulse, a charm she placed on the window that made the headaches disappear. She never touched me unless I reached for her. She never spoke unless I asked something. She was presence, not pressure. And that steadiness began to chip away at the wall I'd built. One night, during another round of restless insomnia, I asked her a question. Why do your eyes glow? She looked up from the book she was pretending to read. They glow brighter when you're near. When you're in distress. It's a response. To me? To the bond. What if I leave this place and never see you again? Her expression didn't change. Then I'd follow. Quietly. From a distance. You'd never know. That's stalker behavior. That's instinct. Do you even want me? I asked. As a person. Not a destiny. You don't understand, she said, leaning forward. The bond doesn't erase who you are. It amplifies it. Everything about you. The stubbornness, the fire, the silence. It draws me in because it's you. I want all of it. Even the parts that hate me. I don't hate you, I said, surprising myself. I'm just afraid. She nodded. You have every right to be. I stared at her, at the quiet strength of her posture, the way she folded her hands together like she was holding back storms. Come here, I said. Her eyes widened. Are you sure? I don't know. But I paused. I need warmth. She crossed the room slowly, sat beside me on the bed, careful not to touch. I reached for her hand. Her fingers were cool, calloused, steady. And when I curled mine around hers, I felt something inside me settle. Not complete, but not as broken. I didn't say anything more. Neither did she.
We just stayed like that.
Two people who shouldn't know each other at all, bound by something too old and too deep to name. And for the first time, I wondered if maybe fate hadn't made a mistake after all. There was a rhythm forming between us. Not quite comfort, not yet trust, but something that hovered in between. Kaya didn't push. She never had. But now I found myself leaning toward her presence instead of away from it. I stopped pretending I didn't notice the way my heart beat faster when she entered the room. Love what you've seen so far and want to help me keep creating these awesome stories on this channel? Then subscribe and hit the bell. Your subscription supports the channel and makes sure you get more exciting stories. I stopped denying that my fingers remembered the shape of hers even when they weren't touching. I still didn't understand it, but I'd stopped pretending it wasn't real. On the sixth night, after a quiet dinner and a short walk down the hallway supported by a nurse and Kaya's silent pacing beside me, I asked the question that had been rotting in my chest. Do they all know about me? She glanced at me. The pack. I nodded. Yes. What do they think of this? She didn't answer immediately. She waited until we were back in my room. The door closed, the noise of the hospital muffled into background static. Some are cautious, she said. Others not thrilled. Because I'm human. Because you were asleep for 10 years. Because you're unknown. Because you weren't born into this world. Because you could walk away. And what would that mean for you? I asked. If I walked away? It would destroy me, she said without hesitation. The bond doesn't break easily. And when it does, it breaks everything. I swallowed. But you'd let me go anyway. If it meant you were safe, yes. Even if it killed you. Even then. I sat with that. The weight of it. The impossible, heavy truth of it. I'd spent my life trying to be rational. I believed in science, in recovery plans, in charts and logic and concrete answers. But Kaya spoke with a kind of honesty that didn't belong to that world. She believed in things I didn't have language for. And slowly, that belief was bleeding into me. Tell me about the pack, I said, surprising us both. She tilted her head. What do you want to know? Everything. Where you live. What you do. What it means to be one of you. Her voice was softer when she spoke again, almost reverent. We live near the edge of the national forest, in territory that's been ours for generations. We live mostly apart from humans, but not completely. We have rules, orders. We have elders and traditions and bonds that are enforced by something deeper than law. When the moon is full, we shift. Not because we must, but because it feels right. Because we remember who we are. And me? I asked. Where do I fit in? You don't. Not yet. That's part of the problem. They want me gone.
Some.
Others are simply afraid of what it means. A human mate is rare. It means vulnerability. It means change. It means risk. Yes. I reached for the tea she'd brought me. Always warm. Always perfect. My hands shook slightly. She moved to help, but I waved her off. Let me try. I lifted the cup.
Didn't spill.
Small victories. I looked at her over the rim. You're not afraid. I'm terrified, she said. But not of you. Of what the world will try to do to us. Of how hard I'll have to fight to keep you. Of how easy it would be to lose you again. You've already lost me once, I said quietly. And you waited. Always. Why? Because I felt you, she whispered. Even when you were gone. I felt you. My chest ached. Not in pain. In longing. In recognition. In something I still didn't want to name. I didn't know how to respond. So I asked the one thing I hadn't dared to say until now. Do you want me? Or is it just instinct? Her eyes darkened. Do you want the honest answer? Always. I wanted you the second I saw you. Not because of the bond. Because of how you looked at me like I wasn't real, and then kept looking anyway. Because you ask questions instead of running. Because you hold your pain like armor, but your soul is still reaching. I want you in every way a person can be wanted. My heart slammed against my ribs. My throat tightened. Then why haven't you touched me? Because I'm trying to let you choose, she said. Because I don't want your first touch to be confused with fate. I want it to be yours. I stared at her. The space between us suddenly felt suffocating. Charged.
Alive.
What if I don't want to choose anymore? Her breath hitched. Then say it. I don't want to be afraid of you, I said. I don't want to keep pretending I don't feel it. This pull. This hunger. For you. She didn't move. Not at first. But her eyes burned. I reached for her hand. She let me. And when I tugged her closer, she followed like the decision had always been mine. Our faces were inches apart. The air buzzed. My fingers brushed her jaw. She trembled. I leaned in.
So, did she?
The kiss wasn't gentle. It was fire meeting oxygen. It was the sound of something ancient breaking open. Her lips were soft but hungry, like she'd been holding back centuries. Mine were clumsy, desperate, aching for something I didn't understand but couldn't resist. Her hands didn't wander. They stayed exactly where I left them, clenched in the sheets beside me. But mine moved, up her arms, over her shoulders, into her hair. She shuddered under my touch. I pulled back first, panting, overwhelmed. Her eyes were wide, lips parted, like she couldn't believe I'd done it. Still afraid, she asked, voice hoarse. Yes, I said. But not of you. Then of what? Of how much I want you to be right. The air in the room had changed. I could feel it hours after she left, after that kiss that felt like fire and inevitability and surrender wrapped in silence. It wasn't just the lingering heat of Kaya's lips or the phantom pressure of her hands beneath mine.
It was deeper than that.
Something inside me had shifted. I slept that night for the first time in weeks, deeply, dreamlessly, fully. When I woke, I expected regret. I expected panic. Instead, I felt a strange kind of peace, edged with confusion. I wanted to see her again. That thought, that desire, should have frightened me. But it didn't. It just felt like gravity. My day unfolded normally. Nurses came in. Blood was drawn. My mother visited with flowers that were too bright. I ate without flinching. I even walked 3 steps on my own. But something was wrong. Not inside me, outside. The staff was tenser than usual. Whispers followed the nurses out of the room. At one point, a man I'd never seen before in a dark green jacket walked by my door 3 times without entering. Every time he passed, the hair on my arm stood up. That night, Kaya didn't come. I waited until midnight. Then 1.
2.
Nothing. The peace from the morning dissolved slowly, replaced by unease. I told myself I was being unreasonable. She didn't owe me a nightly visit. She'd already done more than she should. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was pulling away. At dawn, I heard it, an argument outside my window. Quiet, but not careful enough. I pulled myself to the edge of the bed and strained to listen. I recognized Kaya's voice instantly. She was angry. The low growl in her words made my spine tighten. She's not ready yet. You think threatening her will make her understand. Another voice, male, sharper. You crossed the line bringing her back into our world. She's a liability. She's mine, Kaya snapped. She's human, the man spat. She's waking up into a world that will eat her alive. Then I'll burn that world down first. Silence. A silence so heavy I almost cried out. Then footsteps, 1 pair retreating, 1 lingering. I waited. A minute passed. Then 2. Then Kaya climbed through my window like she had every right to do it, her hair wind-tangled, her eyes darker than I'd ever seen them. What was that? I asked, voice hoarse. She looked at me for a long moment, then exhaled slowly. A warning. To who? To me. To us. She sat by the window, not coming closer. They're starting to take notice. The bond has deepened. After the kiss. It's louder now. The pack can feel it. Some of them see it as a threat. Why? Because we weren't supposed to find each other like this. Not across species. Not across time. It goes against their sense of order. But you said it was fate. Even fate makes enemies. My hands twisted in the sheets. Are you in danger? Not yet. But I am. She didn't answer. That silence was confirmation enough. So what now? I asked. You run? Never. You fight? Always. But I shook my head. I'm not ready for this. I'm still figuring out how to walk without falling. I can't fight a war. She crossed the room in 2 strides and knelt by my bed, eyes burning. You don't have to. That's my job. My choice. I'm not asking you to fight. I'm asking you to let me protect you. And what if they don't stop? I whispered. What if they try to tear this apart? Then they'll have to go through me first. Her voice was steel. I believed her. That terrified me more than anything. Tell me what's really going on, I said. No more half-truths. She stood, paced the room like a caged thing. There's a faction in the pack, old blood, traditionalists. They believe humans are beneath us. They tolerate coexistence, but never integration. When they sensed our bond activate, they thought it was a mistake.
A glitch.
Then they saw us together. Felt the link strengthen. They know it's real. And they hate it. So they're trying to end it. Yes. By killing me. Her silence returned. Why haven't they acted? I asked. Because I've made it clear that any threat to you is a declaration of war. And some still remember what I'm capable of. But not all.
No.
And their patience is thinning. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to protect your peace for as long as I could. You don't get to choose what I can handle, I snapped. That's not love. She flinched. You're right. She looked at me, wounded but steady. I'm sorry. That broke something in me. I reached for her. She came without hesitation. This time, the kiss wasn't fire. It was storm. Her hands cupped my face, careful but claiming. I pulled her down until she lay beside me, her body curved against mine like it had always belonged there. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. My hand found her chest. I felt her heart, steady, fast, wild. Hers found my waist. She held me like she already feared losing me.
We fell asleep like that.
And for the first time, I dreamed not of wolves or forests or shadows. I dreamed of her mouth on mine, and the world falling silent around us. The next morning was too quiet. Not peaceful, suffocating. The kind of silence that comes before a storm, not the one after. I woke up reaching for Kaya instinctively, my fingers brushing the empty side of the bed before my brain registered that she was gone. Not just gone from the room. Gone entirely. No scent left behind. No warmth in the blankets. No note. No word. No trace. The hospital looked the same, but everything in it felt wrong. The nurses' smiles were stiff, as if they were performing calmness. One of them knocked over a tray near my bed and didn't even apologize. My breakfast was cold. The hallway lights flickered once, twice. The air was heavier, and the scent of the room, normally sterile, bland, had shifted into something metallic. My body ached in places that hadn't hurt in days. Every nerve felt like it was bracing. I tried to ignore it. I asked a nurse if Kaya had checked in. She just blinked at me. Visitors are restricted after 9, she said. You know that.
I didn't argue.
I just turned my face to the window and stared at the sky like it might give me answers. Kaya was gone, and my instincts told me it wasn't by choice. Something was happening. I wasn't imagining it. I couldn't afford to. That night, I didn't sleep. My skin itched with anticipation, with something I didn't have a name for. I sat upright for hours, fingers gripping the edge of the bed, eyes scanning the corners of the room like they were waiting to betray me. At 2:43 a.m., the power flickered. Not just the lights, the entire hospital seemed to hiccup. The machines in my room went black. The heart monitor let out one long beep before it died completely. I heard footsteps. Not hurried. Not soft. Intentional. They stopped just outside my door. I didn't move.
Couldn't.
My body froze with a fear so primal it felt ancient. The door opened.
Slowly.
And the man who stepped inside was not a nurse. Not a doctor. Not even someone trying to pretend. He had white blonde hair tied at the nape of his neck, a long coat that brushed the floor, and eyes that glowed with a sickly green light. Not gold like Kaya's.
Not warm.
Cold.
Hungry.
"You're the one," he said, voice smooth as oil. "The human mate." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Every fiber of my being told me to run, but there was nowhere to go. Kaya should have known better, he went on. She was warned. But wolves like her never learn until they bleed. "Where is she?" I managed to whisper. His smile didn't reach his eyes.
Busy.
Distracted. "We needed her out of the way to see what makes you so special." He took a step closer. I pressed back into the bed, my hand reaching for the nurse's call button, only to find the panel dead, blank, powerless. "Don't be afraid," he said, tilting his head. "I'm not here to hurt you. Unless I have to." "What do you want?" "Proof," he said simply. "That she's not thinking clearly. That this bond of yours is just weakness wearing a pretty face." His hand twitched, and I saw claws where fingers should be. Subtle, shifting. He wasn't fully shifted. Not yet.
He didn't need to be.
"If you really matter," he said, "she'll come." He lunged. I screamed. The sound split the silence like glass. I grabbed the four-pole and swung it, metal clanging against his arm. It barely fazed him. He caught it mid-swing and ripped it from my hands, throwing it across the room like it weighed nothing. "Try again," he sneered. Then the window exploded. Glass shattered inward. Wind howled. And Kaya flew through the night like a force of nature unleashed.
She didn't speak.
Didn't hesitate. One moment she was midair, human, furious, and the next, her body snapped into a monstrous, beautiful shape. Fur burst across her limbs. Bones cracked. Her face lengthened into a snarling muzzle. She landed between us as a massive black wolf, eyes burning gold, teeth bared in a snarl that vibrated in my bones. The intruder reacted too late. She pounced. Claws tore. Blood sprayed. They collided like ancient beasts, teeth meeting bone, snarls echoing off sterile walls. The room became a war zone. Kaya fought like she wasn't just protecting me, like she was claiming the right to exist beside me. The other wolf shifted mid-battle, revealing a form more lean than hers, more cruel.
He was faster.
She was stronger. He tried to dodge. She predicted it. He slashed at her flank. She bit into his shoulder and didn't let go. They rolled, crashed into the equipment, shattered a cabinet, slammed against the bed. I crawled to the far corner, heart pounding so loud it drowned out the chaos. Blood soaked the floor. A table flipped. Kaya let out a howl so loud it rattled the walls. She pinned him by the throat, one paw on his chest. Her muzzle was covered in blood, some his, some hers. He tried to shift back. She snarled and pressed harder. "Enough," he choked out. "You've made your point."
She didn't speak.
Didn't move. Just stared down at him, chest heaving. "If you kill me," he gasped, "they'll never stop coming." Her growl deepened. "You already know they won't." Then she released him. He collapsed, gasping. Shifted fully human.
Broken. Beaten.
Kaya turned to me. Her form shifted again violently quickly. The fur vanished. The snarl faded. The woman reemerged, covered in blood, breathing hard. "Are you hurt?" she asked, voice shaking. I shook my head. Tears streaked down my face. "You're bleeding." "It's not mine," she said, then corrected herself. "Most of it isn't." "You left," I whispered. "I thought you." "They sent me away on purpose," she said. "Lured me." I came back as soon as I realized. She moved toward me, slowly, carefully, as if afraid I'd flinch. I didn't. I reached for her, pulled her close. Her body was hot, trembling. "This isn't sustainable," I said. "They'll keep trying." Then we stop waiting for them to make the next move. I'm just a human. No, she said fiercely. You're mine. I kissed her again, not from fear or desperation, but from the knowledge that I was done pretending I didn't want her. Didn't want this. Didn't want us. She kissed me back like she'd been holding her breath since the night we met. When we broke apart, her eyes shimmered with something that wasn't quite tears but wasn't far. Come with me, she said. Leave this place. Let me take you somewhere they can't reach. Let me show you the world I tried to protect you from. I nodded. Okay. She held me tighter. You're everything I thought I lost. I won't lose you again. The intruder groaned. Kaya stood slowly, eyes darkening again. You'll go back, she told him. You'll tell them what happened. And if they send anyone else, they'll get worse.
He didn't argue.
He just limped toward the window and vanished into the night. Kaya turned to me. We have to move. Soon. I can barely walk. Then I'll carry you. I smiled despite the terror still pulsing in my chest. You're always carrying me. Not always, she said, brushing a strand of hair from my face. Soon, you'll stand beside me, not behind. I leaned into her touch. Then let's go. The hospital doors closed behind us like the ending of a chapter one hadn't realized I was desperate to escape. Kaya didn't take the main roads. She didn't even take the car waiting outside. She carried me. Not the way a fragile thing is carried, but the way something precious is protected. Her arms were strong, but her grip was gentle. I protested at first, weakly, insisting I could walk, that I needed to learn to stand on my own, but she hushed me with a look that stripped away every argument. Let me do this, she'd whispered. Just this once. The city disappeared around us. Lights faded. Roads thinned. Trees thickened. We left pavement for dirt, buildings for silence. Somewhere between dusk and nightfall, I lost track of time. Kaya ran not as a human, but as something more. She shifted mid-stride, my body held safely between her now-furred arms, her heartbeat steady beneath me like a war drum. The world blurred. Wind lashed my cheeks. Her scent wrapped around me. Pine, rain, earth. When she stopped, we stood at the edge of the world. At least, that's how it felt. A cliff overlooking a vast stretch of forest that pulsed with moonlight. A house nestled between trees, modern, low, hidden, like it had grown there instead of being built. We're here, Kaya said, shifting back into her human form, voice thick with something I couldn't name. Home. I expected warmth. I expected welcome. I got silence. Cold. Watching eyes in the trees. The moment Kaya stepped over the threshold, the world shifted. 3 figures emerged from the woods. 2 women and 1 man. All of them tall. All of them wolves. Not in form but in aura. It clung to them, that animal tension. The man spoke first. She shouldn't be here. Kaya didn't flinch. She's with me. One of the women stepped forward. Her eyes were silver. Her voice was sharper than frost. That doesn't make it right. I didn't come here for approval, Kaya said. But you'll get judgment anyway, the woman shot back. What happens next doesn't only affect you. It affects all of us. Then let's be honest, Kaya said. You're not angry because she's human. You're angry because the bond chose someone you can't control. The tension snapped like a cable. Kaya pushed past them, still carrying me, and entered the house. Inside was quiet, clean, lived in. The hearth flickered. A low hum of energy buzzed through the wood floors, as if the house itself was alive. She laid me on a long couch wrapped in thick fur blankets and knelt beside me, brushing strands of hair from my face. I'm sorry they weren't kinder. They're scared, I said.
Of you. Of me.
Of this. Fear makes people cruel. So does love. That made her pause. Her expression softened. I won't let them touch you. But they already have, I said. With their eyes. With their silence. You told me I'd never be alone in this. But you didn't say I'd be hated. Not all of them, she said. Some will come around. And the rest. They'll learn. I took her hand. What do they see when they look at me? An outsider. A symbol of change. Of weakness. And what do you see? Her grip tightened. Everything they don't. Hours passed. No one else came. Night deepened. I tried to sleep but couldn't. Not when every creak in the wood might be another confrontation. When I finally stood, barefoot and trembling, I found Kaya outside, barefoot herself, shirtless, standing in the snow like it didn't burn. Her back was to me. Her spine looked carved from iron. You okay? I asked. She didn't turn. No, talk to me. They want me to renounce the bond. The words punched through my ribs.
What?
It's the only way to keep peace within the pack. They think if I reject you, it'll restore balance. And if you don't, they'll exile me. Silence fell hard. What happens to me? I asked. If they exile you, you come with me. And if I say no? She turned then, slowly, eyes full of ache. Then I leave alone. Why are you giving me that power? Because love is choice. And I'd rather lose everything than steal your will. I stepped forward.
Slowly. Carefully.
My legs were shaking, but I didn't fall.
Not this time.
Then here's my choice, I whispered. I stay. Freya. I stay. I repeated. Not because of fate. Not because of magic. Because I love you. I'm terrified. I'm broken. But I love you. And I won't let them decide what that means. Her hands reached for me, then stopped. You shouldn't have to fight. Then teach me how. The tears in her eyes shimmered in the moonlight. She kissed me like it was a vow, like she'd been waiting her whole life to hear those words. And maybe she had. That night, for the first time, we slept not as wolf and human, not as protector and protected, but as equals, as a choice made, not a destiny obeyed. They didn't wait long. At dawn, a howl echoed through the forest, sharp, commanding, ancient. It wasn't just a call. It was a summons. Kaya stiffened beside me before the last note faded. Council, she said. They're calling the elders. To decide our fate, I whispered.
She didn't respond.
She didn't need to. I already knew. The air outside was colder than the night before, not in temperature, but in tone. The trees didn't sway. The wind didn't breathe. Every step we took toward the council clearing felt like walking into a sentence already written. The path was narrow, roots clawing up through the dirt like fingers. Kaya walked ahead of me, body tense, jaw tight. I followed without stumbling. I didn't let her carry me. I wouldn't be seen as a burden. Not today. The clearing was a perfect circle, surrounded by stones too large and too old to be anything but intentional. Elders stood in a semicircle, 5 of them, each with eyes like storms. Around them, others watched in silence, pack members young and old, warriors and kin, all gathered to witness whatever came next. The woman with silver eyes, Kaya had called her Lyra, stepped forward first. You bring the human, she said, voice flat. After everything. Yes, Kaya said. Because she is mine. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. One of the elders, an older man with bark-colored skin and a face carved in lines, raised his hand. Silence returned. This isn't how things are done, he said. Then maybe it's time things change, Kaya replied. Change threatens balance, another elder said. And balance is sacred. I stepped forward. My legs didn't tremble. My voice did. Then let me speak. The silence that followed was sharp. Lyra sneered. You have no place here, human. She does, Kaya said. If you speak for her, she does not speak for herself. She doesn't need. Kaya, I interrupted softly. She looked at me and I nodded. She stepped aside. I turned to the elders. To all of them. I'm not here to beg, I said. And I'm not here to pretend I understand everything you are or everything this bond means. I was asleep for 10 years. I woke into a world I don't recognize. But even in that confusion, even in all the pain and fear, Kaya was there. I swallowed. She protected me when she had nothing to gain. She loved me when I didn't even know who I was. And if that love threatens your order, if a bond chosen freely between two souls is a danger, then maybe it's not the bond that's broken. The crowd was still, breathless. One of the younger wolves, maybe no older than I had been when I fell asleep, stepped forward. She stood against Roan, she said. He attacked her, and Kaya saved her. I saw the aftermath. The blood on the walls. She didn't run. She stayed. More murmurs. One of the elders, the youngest of the five, turned to the others. Perhaps fear has made us blind. Or sentimental. Lyra snapped. Next, we'll be letting humans into the bloodline. Is that what this is about? Kaya's voice rose, low and sharp. Control? Purity? You want to pretend this is about balance, but it's about power.
And fear.
You fear what we are. You are blinded by it, Lyra said. She is your weakness. No, I said, stepping beside Kaya. I'm her strength. The oldest elder raised his hand again. Enough. The tension froze. He stepped forward, eyes on me. You are not wolf, he said. But you have spoken with courage. That alone earns you a place here. He turned to Kaya. But the bond is not yours alone to bear. The consequences will ripple. Then let them, Kaya said. We will not bow. The elder nodded slowly. Then let the pact decide. The crowd stirred. For the first time, I understood. This was not just about us. It was a test of their future. Kaya reached for my hand, and I held hers. One by one, pack members stepped forward, some to stand behind us, others behind Lyra. The division was nearly even. But just as the balance seemed tipped against us, a final figure stepped forward, a woman older than time, her hair white as snow, her posture regal. She walked between the two sides and stopped before Kaya. You remind me of myself, she said.
Fierce.
Reckless. Honest.
She turned to me.
And you burn quietly, but the flame is steady. Perhaps that is what we need. She stepped behind us. Let them stay. A howl echoed, one of agreement, then another, and another, until the forest rang with unity. Lyra looked furious, but she bowed.
Slightly.
Reluctantly. The elders conferred. The verdict came with quiet finality.
They stay.
Together. The bond remains. I exhaled for the first time in hours. Kaya squeezed my hand so tightly it hurt. I welcomed the pain. It meant we were still here. Still alive. Still ours. That night, as the pack dispersed and the fire in the center of the clearing roared, Kaya pulled me into her lap. You did that, she whispered into my hair. You changed them. No, I murmured. We did. She kissed my shoulder. I love you. Then let's stop surviving, I said. Let's start living. Integration was never going to be easy. Acceptance from the elders didn't mean the pack embraced me overnight. The verdict had settled the political storm, not the emotional one. Whispers still followed us when we walked. Not openly hostile, just quiet, sharp-edged things, glances that lingered too long, backs that stiffened when I entered a room, silences that deepened when I spoke. Kaya tried to shield me from most of it. She stood taller, closer, more alert than ever. But I saw it all, and I felt it. Still, I didn't run. I stayed. I sat at their fires, ate their food, asked their stories. I walked the territory, even when my legs trembled and my lungs burned. They didn't expect me to last a week. I lasted longer, because I wasn't there to prove myself. I was there because of her, because of us. But it wasn't just about love anymore. It was about becoming something more than a symbol. I wanted to belong. One night, as the moon rose high and full above the treeline, Kaya led me to the edge of the river, far from the others. You've been quiet, she said, sitting on the bank, water glinting beside her. I've been listening, I said, lowering myself slowly beside her. They don't hate me anymore, but they don't trust me. Trust is earned, she said. So is fear. She looked at me then, really looked. Are you afraid of them?
No, I paused.
I'm afraid of what I'll become if I'm always trying to be enough. You already are, she said fiercely. Not for them. For me. My throat tightened. She took my hand, pulling it to her chest. You don't need to change to deserve this. And yet I want to, I said. I want to understand your world. Be part of it. Her eyes burned gold in the moonlight. Then I'll teach you. We didn't speak more that night. We didn't need to. She held me in the dark while the river sang, and for a moment, I let go of the tension in my chest. Let go of the fear of being a burden. I wasn't a guest in her world anymore. I was part of it. But peace doesn't last. Not here. Not for us. It started with scent. Bitter, wrong, foreign. Kaya smelled it first, days later, while we were hunting herbs with one of the younger wolves. Her body tensed, hand flying to mine. Go back, she said. Now. What is it? I asked. Vampires. My blood ran cold. They don't usually come this close. Not without reason, she muttered, scanning the trees. We returned to the village in silence. That night, Kaya met with the elders. The decision was swift. Increase patrols, limit solitary trips, and prepare for potential conflict. The next night it happened. A girl from the outer patrol was found unconscious near the cliffs. Bite marks on her neck. Not deep enough to kill, just enough to warn. The message was clear. Someone was watching. Claiming. The pack's borders had been breached. Fear returned. Not the fear of me, of a human in wolf territory, but of something worse. Something older. Kaya doubled her patrols. She didn't sleep. Barely ate. She became a shadow at the edges of the forest, a sentinel waiting for a war no one had declared. I waited with her. I tried to stay strong. Until the third night. We were together in the clearing, the same place we'd faced the elders. I was restless. Pacing. She was sharpening a blade, one of the few weapons the wolves kept for non-shifted fights. What do they want? I asked. A message? A kill? They want territory, she said. But they're toying first. Testing fear. Weakness. They think I'm weakness, I whispered. Kaya stood, crossed to me in 2 strides. You're not. You never were. Then let me help. How? I don't know, I snapped. But I'm not going to sit by while you bleed for me. Not again. She looked at me, long and hard. Then slowly she nodded. There's a way, she said. But it's dangerous. Everything is dangerous. She took my hand. We can lure them. Set a trap. Use you as bait. I flinched. That's your plan? Only if you agree. Only if you're ready. I won't risk you if you're not. I already risk everything by being here. That night, we prepared. I bathed in oils that masked my scent, then added others meant to draw attention. Wolf blood. Burnt wood. Kaya hated it. I saw it in her eyes. But she let me, because she knew I meant it. At midnight, I stood alone in the clearing. Kaya and the others circled the perimeter, hidden, watching, waiting. I felt them before I saw them. 2 figures tall, too still to be human. Their eyes gleamed red like dying coals. One stepped forward. Human, he said. Alone. Not helpless, I said. He smiled, revealing teeth too sharp, too many. We thought you might be worth saving. But your taste. He inhaled deeply. It's powerful. Marked. I'm not yours, I said. Aren't you? The second one asked. Your scent carries wolf. And something else. Something new. You don't belong to the wolves. You don't belong at all. Then leave, I said. Before we show you who really rules this forest. The first one stepped closer. You don't even know what you are. I know what I love, I said. And that's enough. They lunged. Kaya was faster. She came from the trees like fire, a blur of black and gold. The pack followed, surrounding the clearing in seconds. It wasn't a fight. It was a warning. The vampires were outnumbered, outmatched. They vanished before teeth met flesh. Gone like smoke. But the message was clear. They would return. Later, Kaya held me by the fire. Her body was covered in scratches. Mine trembled from adrenaline. But we were alive. Together. You faced them, she whispered. You didn't flinch. Because I had you, I said. And because I'm tired of being afraid. Her lips brushed my temple. They won't break us. No, I said. But they'll try. Let them. That night, we didn't sleep. We just held each other. Hearts pounding. Bodies warm. Ready. War doesn't always begin with a bang. Sometimes it begins in silence. With a broken tree. A missing scout. A scent on the wind that doesn't belong. The signs were clear. The vampires hadn't retreated. They had regrouped. And this time, they weren't coming to play. They were coming to claim. By the second night, half the border patrols had reported sightings. Strange footprints. Shadows with eyes. One of the southern lookouts returned pale and shaken, whispering of voices in the trees, voices that called his name in his mother's tone. Illusions. Manipulations. The vampires didn't just fight with fang and claw. They fought with fear. With confusion. With a twisting of truth. The elders met in private, but the scent of panic was in the air. The pack was afraid. Not because they were weak, but because they had something to lose now. Someone to lose.
Me.
Kaya kept me close. Closer than ever. Her protectiveness no longer felt like instinct, it felt like desperation. She watched the woods as if expecting them to swallow me. Every time I stepped away, even for a moment, I saw the flicker of panic in her eyes. You can't stop the world from spinning, I told her once, brushing her cheek. But I can hold you steady while it does, she said. When the attack came, it wasn't during a full moon or a stormy night. It was clear.
Quiet.
Beautiful. As if the world wanted to remind us what we might lose. The first strike hit the eastern border. Fires. Screams. Wolves running in formation. Howls cutting through the air like sirens. Kaya transformed mid-run, leaping from the balcony with a howl so raw it ripped something open inside me. I followed. I was slower, weaker, but I followed. Because I couldn't stay behind while she fought for me. The forest was chaos. Wolves clashed with figures that moved too fast, too fluid. Vampires flickered through shadows, their claws flashing silver. I saw Lyra cut down one with a roar that shook the branches. I saw the youngest scout shielding a cub with his own body. Blood soaked the roots. I searched for Kaya. Found her surrounded by 3 of them. She was already bleeding. Her black fur was matted with it, her golden eyes wild. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed a broken branch, sharp and jagged, and hurled it with everything I had. It struck one vampire in the side. Not deep, not fatal, but enough. Kaya lunged. The fight turned. I don't remember all the details. Just moments. Teeth sinking into flesh. Screams. Firelight dancing on ash. My body running on instinct and fear and fury. And then, silence. Just like it began. The vampires retreated. Not because we had destroyed them all, but because we had survived. Because we had stood our ground. The clearing was soaked in moonlight and blood. Wolves shifted back into human form slowly, warily. Injuries were tended. Fires were extinguished. Lyra approached, face grim. They'll return, she said. Stronger. Then we'll be ready, Kaya replied. Her arm was slashed open. I tore part of my shirt to bind it. She hissed, but let me. You were reckless, she said, voice low. You could have died. So could you, I shot back. You always run toward danger. I'm tired of watching you do it alone. Her hand cupped my face. You never stop surprising me. Good, I said. Keep falling in love with me. She kissed me there in the middle of the battlefield. And for the first time, no one looked away. The pack circled closer, not to separate us, but to stand beside us. One by one. A silent acknowledgement. I wasn't just Kaya's anymore. I was theirs.
Part of them.
Not because I'd fought, but because I'd chosen to stay. The elders approached last. The one with bark-colored skin looked between us. You've changed us, he said. More than we wanted. More than we thought we could bear. But you've made us better. Kaya bowed her head slightly. I took her hand and squeezed. The vampires won't stop, I said. They'll keep testing us. Then we must be stronger than their fear, the elder said, and braver than our own. The days that followed were strange. Quiet. Healing. We rebuilt. Burned the bodies of the fallen with honor. Sang their names under the moon. I stood beside Kaya, not as a guest or outsider, but as her equal. Her mate. Her love. Her partner. Our home became more than a house in the woods. It became a place others came to for peace.
Advice. Hope.
The pack began to change. Slowly, but undeniably. The elders opened training to anyone who wished, human or wolf. Patrols mixed generations, roles, bloodlines. A new era began, not just for us, but for them. For all of us. One evening, weeks later, Kaya and I stood at the cliff where she'd first brought me after the hospital. The wind carried the scent of pine and ash and something sweeter, freedom. I dreamed of this, she said. Of you, standing here.
Alive. Whole.
Mine. I'm still healing, I said. Always will be. That's what makes you beautiful. I turned to her. We don't know what's coming. We never did, she said. But we know who we are. That's enough. I leaned into her. I love you. Say it again. I love you. One more time. Kaya, I said, smiling. I love you. She kissed me like she believed it. Like she'd never stop. And I kissed her back, knowing this wasn't the end of a story. Just the beginning of something we'd write together. Thank you so much for being here and for believing in this channel. If you feel in your heart, you can donate with super thanks so I can focus more and more on this project. Your support helps me keep creating these love stories and bringing them to life for you. See you in the next video.